This is the story of a school for girls in a country where it's difficult, even dangerous, to be a girl. This is the story of a school on a hill that says, "Come from wherever you are, for as long as you need. This is your home." This is a school perched at the crossroads of the ancient and modern, and with a clear vision of the strengths and limitations of both, offers refuge for body, mind, and spirit. This is the story of a dream, bigger than a lifetime. Morning in Nepal begins the same nearly every day. Offerings and prayer, and a commute to work. Where work isn't possible, the never-ending struggle for survival begins anew. While Nepal is predominantly Hindu, 10% of the country's population is Buddhist. Buddhism teaches that everything is constantly shifting, changing, impermanent. All composite things pass away, the Buddha taught as he was dying. All will eventually come apart, compost itself into a different form, and take its place in the endless cycle of birth, death, and rebirth. Yet, as true and incontrovertible as this is, that all things change, it doesn't preclude the need to offer help and care, especially to those most vulnerable. In Buddhism, a bodhisattva, the symbol of compassion, is one who continually undertakes selfless, altruistic action to benefit all beings. Sentient beings are numberless, begins the most famous of bodhisattva prayers. I vow to save them all. In a developing nation like Nepal, beset by centuries of poverty, it is the vulnerable who suffer most. And while the consequences to everyone in need are great, the consequences for young girls are dire. Chobar Hill rises from the Kathmandu Valley, a refuge from the density and squalor of the city. Legend says that Manjushri, an emanation of the Buddha symbolizing wisdom, cut through the land with one chop of his sword to allow the Bagmati River to flow from the ancient lake, creating fertility in the valley. Over the past 6 years, one man, Soni Rinpoche III, has quietly purchased land on this hill to build a school for girls, a school that makes a unique offer. If any girl can make her way to the campus on Chobar Hill, she is provided, free of any tuition or expense, 9 years of Western education with nationally certified teachers, intensive study in the Buddha Dharma, free room and board, and free health care. Any girl is welcome. Anyone can leave whenever they wish.
We are 10, mom, dad, and 8 children. We were 5 daughters and 3 boys. Yeah, 5 of us stayed with parents, working a little bit in the fields and doing the household chores, but I didn't go to school. Since I'm the eldest daughter, I had to help my mom with all the house chores. That's what elder daughter does. It never ends. More and more, all the time it's more and more that you have to help, and that was my life.
Each girl is given the robes of a young Buddhist novice, an honor in Nepali culture. But there's more here than meets the eye. For in Nepal, these robes also confer some degree of protection from exploitation, child marriage, and unending servitude. It's not foolproof, for long-standing prejudices are slow in dissolving, but it helps to ensure their safety while they study and grow. The school is an ambitious project, not only for its brick and mortar, but for its vision. That vision didn't begin with Soni Rinpoche III, but over 150 years before.
The Soni lineage is started by first Soni Rinpoche, and first Soni Rinpoche saw the needs of women's development. At that time, it's the best is Buddhist education and practice.
In the Tibetan Buddhist tradition, reincarnation refers not only to the continuation of consciousness from lifetime to lifetime, but sometimes to a karmic responsibility handed down as well.
We saw some great potential after a few years of training them, and then he asked many of his male students to establish nunnery. And then every year he go there and teach.
That devotion was assumed by his young C, or reincarnation, Soni Rinpoche II, and continued into the mid-1900s until his tragic and untimely death.
Second one, every year you go one round with all the nunnery. Spend 5, 10, 20 days, 1 month sometimes, and teach, and also do sometime group practice, puja together. And then this cultural revolution happened when second Soni died on the way to prison.
The third and present Soni Rinpoche was barely 9 years old when told of his karmic responsibility by his father.
One day, a letter came from Nangshen and Adi Rinpoche. They asked me to come. In that letter, there's a big request from Kechak nuns. Please come to visit us. So then Tuguji Rinpoche told me a brief history of connection with first Soni, second Soni. Tuguji Rinpoche himself stayed many years in both nunneries at Kechak and Dechenling. Both are Soni nunneries.
Rinpoche, as his students call him, became increasingly aware of a piece of his own life's narrative, a piece that had already been written. With the help of contributions from the world over, the school began to take shape. Still at the beginning, neither he nor anyone else could foresee what would happen.
Major Rinpoche and myself, we went to Nubri, my hometown, and I saw many children are not joining the local school. So I gave a speech there, please join school. It was very important. And then I said, in case if you don't want to join your school in Nubri, so you can come to Chobar and join nunnery. That time I thought about 7, 8, and then suddenly karma happened.
Tradition offered an easy route. The girls could enter the nunnery. This had been done for generations, and they would be more than happy with that. Rinpoche took his direction, however, from a more personal source.
I have a small monster myself. I never went to school. So every time I speak English language or some other modern stuff I like to learn, it's very difficult. I have a choice. I can do like normal nunnery or establish separate school for the young nuns. So I choose that path because my monster and their need.
I have 7 members in my family, mother and father, and we have 5 children, and my parents are farmers. When I looked around, when I saw my parents' life, I could see that it's really difficult. Then I look at my society, and everyone was just having this kind of mundane but really difficult, hard life. And I also realized from the early age that whatever wealth we will accumulate anyway because of impermanence, it will eventually we will lose it. So why to put so much effort? Why to live such a hard life, struggling so much, and then at the end everything will be lost? So seeing that, I thought, well, practicing spiritual path, pursuing what's really meaningful, Dharma, would be the best.
Once a year at the Sony Gaychek School exhibition, students celebrate what they've learned by building architectural models and science demonstrations, and by creating interactive learning games for friends and relatives, benefactors, distinguished citizens of Kathmandu, and even for entire grades of boys and girls from other city schools. It's a day of celebration, an opportunity for the girls to display the fruits of their hard work and study. At moments throughout the day, amidst the laughter and excitement, one could glimpse the echoes of the almost unimaginable challenges from which these girls came. The photographic team that was asked to document progress on Chobar Hill was offered a further invitation to accompany the entire school on a journey into the Himalayan range. They were offered a choice to accompany students and teachers on a 12-hour bus ride over legendary Nepali roads, or hop a flight on small planes that are only able to fly between 6 a.m. and noon due to the hazardous mountain winds. There is an area known as Muktanath in the province of Mustang, which, at approximately 12,000 feet, sits beneath Dhalagiri, the 7th highest mountain in the world. It is here the young nuns traveled to participate in an annual ritual that's been performed for centuries. Traditional greetings were offered en route to the monastery. Within minutes of arriving, chanting began. Everyone, even the youngest, found her place. Each day, just before dawn, Rinpoche, along with the assembly from Muktanath and Chobar, would gather at Gargon Ling, a 300-year-old monastery, for prayer and meditation. Outer life receded, and a ritual world emerged. The elder nuns, some of whom had suffered greatly in their own lives, guided the younger ones, modeling wisdom, dignity, and dedication. Beneath the pageantry, there was so much more happening. Many levels of care were at work here. Many pairs of arms encircling these girls, telling them, in effect, you are important. You belong. Come and enter more deeply into your own heritage. Ancient and modern woven together, a unique 21st century experiment. The school on Chobar Hill represents an attempt to answer two questions. How can the best of contemporary education help liberate girls from a cycle of poverty, introducing them into a culture of near limitless possibility? And how can the meditation and compassion practices of an ancient wisdom tradition guide the lives of these young girls in the deepest ways toward well-being, a quiet confidence, and the fervent desire to offer what they've learned to others?
Three things: modern education based, and at the same time warm heart, compassionate heart and mind. Based on that, then they learned Buddhist practice for many years, the theory practice and the experience practice. So all these three combined, my expectation is many of them will stay in the nunnery, many will go. They can live anytime, coming and going, it's part of life. When they live, when they disrobe, they should have transformation in their life, the quality of the nun's education, in their heart, in their everyday life.
My message to the whole world will be, please take good care of your minds. That's what we mean by the Dharma, inner science, looking inside and seeing what's going on inside and really changing it so that we will master our own happiness. It's in our own hands. I have an aspiration for myself to be of use and of benefit for sentient beings, that I can complete my studies well, then I can go and help them. But I can't really help others unless they take good care of themselves. And what I mean by that, take care of their mind. And that's what we mean by the Dharma. What we are doing here, the Buddhist Dharma, is that we are learning how to deal with our own mind. And my wish is that everyone can learn that too. It's actually indispensable.